Yeah, I mean the we're pretty familiar with the maximalist arguments, the maxis.
Okay.
And look, as Bitcoin hodlers since 2012, we're you would think we'd be incredibly aligned with your worldview that maybe Gemini should go go all Bitcoin, and yet here we are trying to convince you about the merits of DeFi. And yeah, look, I think Bitcoin is had an amazing decade so far, right? It's at $1 trillion market cap. And our view is it's going to hit 10 trillion within the decade and overtake gold. And that's a remarkable thing. But Bitcoin is sort of one piece of that larger financial picture. And we still have to address this centralized financial system, this legacy system that's all trust-based, all permission-based. And to the extent that Bitcoin is not addressing those areas, DeFi is in many ways. And so permissionless lending, trading, insurance, all this really cool stuff being built on smart contracts. And so I would love to see a world where Bitcoin is dominant. It's a reserve, the global reserve currency, not just of the internet, but of like everything. I think that would be an amazing and quite frankly, a very realistic outcome. But I don't want to be stuck in a permissioned financial system, at the end of that, road. I want to be in permissionless, trustless financial services. And DeFi is re-architecting those as we speak. Incredibly exciting and quite frankly, complementary. I mean, wrapped Bitcoin is a highly tradable asset in DeFi. And I know you might have an issue with the wrapped aspect, but I think that these things work in harmony, in concert. Bitcoin is the OG. It's why we're here. It taught us how to decentralize the world, but the things that Bitcoin isn't eating or decentralizing, let's see what other projects and experiments can do to some of those stacks that are totally centralized and see if they can, take a bite out of it, if you will. And maybe Bitcoin gets there and comes up in behind and eats all of it. But I love the experimentation. I love the frontier. Let's make no mistake, Bitcoin's sort of locked down. It's a very conservative, as it should be. There's a ton of value in there, right? We can't screw that up. But I think there's a strong argument for other projects that are pushing the envelope with the same ethos and sort of mission that we all believe in the decentralization and how the revolution, this movement, which Bitcoin started and is still, pushing heavily, is going to be one of the greatest things to personal freedom and dignity as the printing press, the personal computer, and some of these watershed developments in technology. So if Bitcoin's just gold 2.0, we actually wrote a thought piece this summer where, well, if it disrupts gold, it's got to have a $10 trillion market cap. So there's about a 10x from here, and that would price each Bitcoin at $500,000. That's just if it's, a better gold, decentralized gold built through the internet that works like email. If it happens to secure other crypto networks, if it happens to be able to do a lot more things like re-architect the financial legacy infrastructure of finance, then 10 trillion is just like the small bull case scenario. But to the extent that it doesn't want to do that, I think it's really valuable for other projects, whether Ethereum or whatnot, to try and tackle that problem. And I don't think it takes away from the Bitcoin story, especially if Bitcoin's not sort of vying for that. So yeah, I don't think they're mutually exclusive. We consider ourselves Bitcoiners. And frankly, look, if it starts getting built on Ethereum or whatever and comes back to Bitcoin, there's no other people in this world that would benefit economically more, or there's very few, right, than us. So we'd be totally happy for that to happen. But to the extent that Bitcoin doesn't want to do that, we think it's very valuable to the entire ecosystem in terms of mainstream adoption, people coming in, we think that's like just super positive for everything. The financial system in the 1700s revolved around precious metals like gold, silver, right? But things were invented since that, like joint stock companies, stock exchanges, other financial assets. And to me, if there's a financial system, our financial system today isn't just gold. So if Bitcoin's going to be a better gold, like how do you reconcile all of these other services that you have come to use and know and need in your life? If Bitcoin's not going to step up and do that, are you okay going to centralized finance for all of that? Do you think that's preferable than, let's say, a platform like Ethereum trying to, fill in those gaps? Because like, I don't think you believe that the financial system should go back to the 17th century, right? Yeah, I mean, not your key, not your server, not your emails, right? Most people don't want to spin up an email server. But look, I think with the advent of hardware wallets like Ledger, like Nanos, it's never been easier or more user-friendly to self-custody Bitcoin. And so like, look, if that's a concern, obviously don't lend out all of your Bitcoin. And if you're concerned about centralized exchanges, don't store all of it on the exchange. Keep a healthy amount on that hardware wallet. I think it's really a spectrum. That's what we're finding with folks, and it's really to each their own. Right. And if you don't like Gemini, you can take it off, right? Whereas like the products where your Bitcoin's actually jailed, like Robinhood, a lot of people tried to take their crypto. They realized they actually have to sell their Bitcoin because they never really had it. They couldn't withdraw it from Robinhood to Gemini. They had to sell it into cash, taxable event, wire the cash out, wire that to Coinbase or Gemini, then rebuy Bitcoin. That's not a good product, like for obvious reasons, as I just stated. But if you don't like Gemini or you start getting spooked about our security or whatever, just withdraw to your hardware wallet. And so like Cameron said, like some people don't want to run their email servers or, all that stuff, like the extreme sort of tinfoil hat crowd. A lot of people are okay using Gmail and trusting Google, or using AWS and trusting one company, Amazon, that have good track records of trust and privacy, security, reliability. And I think like when there's offerings like Gemini and other centralized exchanges that are user friendly, I think ultimately it brings just a lot more people into Bitcoin, which is great for everyone in Bitcoin, even if you don't believe quite in that. So I think, that's sort of like our thinking there, is that it is a spectrum. Like it's not one size fits all.